Hey city builders, I'm Canadian Moose, and today I'm going to show you how to make City Skylines 2 look more realistic in collaboration with Maddish Moose, who provided the city for today's video. You can find out more about him and his content in the pinned message. To start, I'm going to break this video up into two segments, vanilla and modded. Keep in mind that while these settings work for me and my PC, this isn't a performance guide and you might have to tweak some of those settings to better suit your PC. And this won't be a rundown of settings, just showcasing the ones I think will best benefit your graphics. Have you ever seen this on roundabouts? This is caused by terrain cast shadows, which we can find in the graphics settings and disable it. While it will make roundabouts look better and certain road curbs, it has one drawback on tunnels. Here is a tunnel with terrain cast shadows on, and here is a tunnel with it off. So it's a trade-off, but for me, I turn it off. Let's enable Show Advanced, as this gives us even more control over the graphics settings. Depth of field I have disabled, unless I want to take a tilt shift style photo, and then I can enable it. I know some people like this, but for me, I just never like the look of it while playing. I run NVIDIA DLSS Super Resolution, as I have found it to be the best looking option. Now, the one thing with DLSS is you will notice ghosting, and Cuboid has an excellent guide on how to solve this, which I will link in the description of this video. For clouds, I turn them to high and enable all the options for it, as the volumetric clouds in City Skylines 2 are one of my favorite visuals in this game, and give your downtown skyline a beautiful, realistic backdrop for cinematics and screenshots. You are going to want fog enabled, as it gives you a much more realistic atmosphere, and I set the volumetric settings to high. Global illumination quality is hit or miss for me. While I like what it does in theory, which is allowing ray tracing, it results in this pixelated effect under certain lighting conditions, best seen on the sides of buildings. So I've opted to turn this off without any major impact on the overall appearance of the game. I set my reflections quality to high, as good reflections can make certain shots. Shadow quality is set to high, and as mentioned earlier, weigh the options and decide whether you want the terrain cast shadows on or not. For terrain, I set it to high and I adjust the target patch size to 4. Shout out to Raptorman NZ for this tip. It helps greatly with the rendering distance of rivers and smaller bodies of water to help prevent the weird visuals when zooming out. Water quality settings are set to high. Level of detail will be hit or miss, and this one will affect performance. There honestly isn't much noticeable difference from, say, setting the level of detail distance to 70 versus 100, but I keep mine at 100 to get as much detail at the farthest distance that the settings will allow, but you really don't have to. Test it out with your device and see how it performs. And lastly, texture is set to high. Hopefully this helps make your game pop a little bit more in vanilla. And when it comes to taking photos in the photo mode, I set my focal length to 100 to try and imitate the classic SimCity 4 aesthetics. And then in the color settings, I go 0 for saturation and 100 for shadows, as they changed the graphics with the latest update, and I find the game overall doesn't look as good as it used to, and I find these settings help. With a mod, we can keep these settings permanently, but in vanilla, we currently aren't able to. Hopefully that changes in the future. To start, let's grab a custom map from PDX Mods, as a great map makes the entire build. I suggest any of the ones from Poplar Ponderosa or Raptorman NZ, but take a look and shop around, as there are so many great options available. For this video, I will stick with the great city of Moose River by Maddish Moose. Preserve photo mode and camera field of view go hand in hand, because preserve photo mode currently breaks the field of view slider in photo mode, so camera field of view allows you to adjust this. We can add the settings from earlier, saturation to 0 and shadows to 100, and that's going to make the game look closer to what it looked like before this latest update. Next, let's change up the map theme. To do this, you will need Map Texture Replacer and then a theme pack. My personal favorite is combining Vivid Cities 4K by Zarizi with Seaside Serenity, also by Zarizi, and Home of Chameleon. In-game, I select Vivid Cities 4K as the base to start with. Next, I change the grass texture to Seaside Serenity, and I adjust the far tiling scaling to 100 for a better grass size. Now let's change Dirt Diffuse to Home of Chameleon and we are all set. Have some fun and try messing around with different themes to see what suits your build. Next, let's get Vehicle Controller by Mamonsi. This mod allows you to adjust the spawn rates of certain vehicles to provide a more realistic look. For example, if you were building a city based in Alberta, Canada, you would want to max out the spawn rate of trucks. This mod also helps slow down the speed of trains for a much more realistic look. On the topic of vehicles, let's also pick up vehicle variation packs. This mod has some great base settings which essentially recolor all of the vehicles for a much more modern and realistic appearance. I have a pack on it called Vancouver, and you can make your pack here, and it gives you a breakdown of how to go about doing that. You can also find the link for this website in the description of this video, alongside all the other mods we are talking about. Next up, we have Time and Weather Anarchy, and this mod gives you more fine-grained control over the visuals, such as the time of day, the season, and the weather. I like to try and find something around golden hour. Next, we have Tree Controller, and this will allow you to prevent all of the trees on the map from dying, which is especially useful if you plan to spam trees down for a forest or really do any sort of tree detailing. Another feature I love is being able to change the trees a map comes with. There are tons of other mods you can get to help make your city more detailed, but when it comes to the visuals, I think the game does such a great job and does a lot of the heavy lifting right out of the box, that there's not a ton you really need to do. But I hope this gave you some insight into how I make the game look more realistic, and if you found this video useful, a like is greatly appreciated. And consider subscribing for more how-tos and city builds. I'm Canadian Moose, and this was How to Make City Skylines 2 Look Realistic.